Hello there. This is Jen T. Grace. I am the founder of Publish Your Purpose and the founder of the Institute for Author Growth and Impact. And I'm here for day 3 of our 11-day series on leveraging AI for writing your book. This leads up to a workshop that I'm hosting on June 17th, which will go into much more depth than we are going over in these 11 days together. And the first day, we talked about basically coming up with a purpose statement. Why are you putting this book together? What's the bigger purpose? It becomes your North Star, so you know exactly how you are going to kind of get there, right? That's the purpose of a North Star. Then on day 2, we talked about our target reader and really getting more clear and defined on who the target reader is. Today, I want to talk about how AI supports your writing without replacing your voice, because the intention behind this workshop series is not to have AI do the writing for you. I think that is just, it's a disservice to you as the author, it's a disservice to the reader. And in many cases, especially when we're doing nonfiction or we're doing memoir, we really want to focus on our voice and our authentic self. So we're not talking about using AI to replace our voice, but we are going to talk about how we can use it to supplement things. So today, again, we talked about purpose statement, talked about target readers. Today, I want to talk a little bit more about how we can use AI to get us even more clarity. So this one it's a long one for me to read. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up the prompt on the screen first as just kind of a starting point. And I had to consolidate the prompt a bit in order to get it to fit on the screen. So basically what I want you to think about is, do you have a blog that you've written? Maybe it's a LinkedIn article. Maybe it was a long-winded email to a friend. Maybe it's a voice memo that you sent to a friend that's talking about a particular story or piece of information that is relevant and related to the book that you want to write. Whatever that might look like. Could be a transcript. It could be a Substack article. Truly could be literally anything where you are putting your thoughts on the page or in a voice memo, where you are acting as a thought leader, essentially. So the prompt is, here's a paragraph I wrote about. Insert your paragraph here, insert your content here. It could be a paragraph, it could be a transcript, it could be that Substack article, it could be a white paper that you designed years ago. Does not matter what it is. It's more about having AI help you uncover the nuggets of gold. Then you're going to say, do not rewrite this. Instead, tell me what is the strongest idea in this paragraph, and you can replace that with content. What is unclear, and what question does it raise that I haven't answered yet? This is going to be a goldmine of information. So in the kind of example that I've been sharing basically throughout this so far, is my previous purpose statement was, let's see if I can get to it quickly. My purpose statement was, my book helps uncover the purpose already within them so they can stop living on autopilot and start creating a life and eventually a book rooted in meaning, alignment, and impact. So that's kind of the example purpose statement that I'm going with. As I kind of said in video 1, I'm using kind of a potential a third book in this trilogy that I have. So I Publish Your Purpose, Promote Your Purpose. I'm thinking about putting a third one that will kind of precede both of them, which is about exploring what our purpose is in the first place. So that's what I'm kind of using as this example throughout these 11 days. So when I thought about that, this is what I want you to think about. Think about a time where you had an opportunity to kind of just riff and free flow and kind of talk through what that meant to you, what it means to you in relation specifically to your book. So for me, I was a guest on someone's LinkedIn live show, and I already have a document set aside for this other book idea. It's already been percolating for a little bit of time. I'm not doing anything active with it, but when I have a conversation I have with somebody where there's, in this case, a LinkedIn interview that I did with somebody, I just take the transcript and I just kind of throw it in that document because I know at a later date in time, this information is going to be helpful to me. This is not a book that I'm actively working on in this moment, but at some point I will want to pick this up and do something with it. So it's kind of like my parking lot document. It has a table of contents, and that is the extent of it. So it's just a bunch of random ideas and thoughts in there. So what I did is I took the transcript from this conversation. So I said, here's a transcript from this show. Do not rewrite this. Instead, tell me what's the strongest idea in the paragraph or in the transcript, what's unclear, and what questions does it raise that I haven't answered yet. And I chose Gemini for today's experiment. I've been bouncing between Gemini, Claude, and ChatGPT. Whatever your AI is of choice, this is not a promotion for whoever you're using. I like to kind of throw it into all three, or at least the three that I like to use, just to see what things come up. And so I'm not going to read everything it came back with, but I'm going to read parts of it. So it basically came back for the strongest idea. The most compelling concept you have is the explicit connection between discovering internal purpose and using a book as the ultimate vehicle to manifest it. In this transcript, Jen mentions that people often overlook purpose as something purely spiritual or abstract, making it hard to operationalize. Your idea bridges that gap beautifully. You are just writing a book about how to find purpose, nor are you writing a basic how to write a book guide. The strength lies in the sequence. Fix the internal alignment first, and the book becomes the natural, authentic byproduct. So that, again, was because I was really intentional about what content I brought in to be the thing that I'm using AI to analyze. So I maybe could have come up with something close to this on my own, but this would have taken a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort to like really just kind of sit with this and figure out, okay, how am I actually going to do this? So that's the strongest idea that it pulled. Now I said, what's unclear? And it came back with right now the phrase, and eventually a book, feels a bit tacked on to the end of the sentence, creating a slight disconnect in the scope. So it's basically saying that there's ambiguity because is this book primarily a self-help personal development guide or anyone stuck on autopilot? Is it specifically a guide for aspiring authors who are blocked because they lack a deeper why? And it says why it matters. If a reader picks up your book just wanting to fix their life, they may be confused by a sudden pivot into publishing. Conversely, if an aspiring author picks it up, they need to know right away that your method tackles their mindset before their manuscript. So that's perfect because remember, let me scroll back up. The prompt that I was using, or again, I'm intentionally kind of keeping this loose and not perfect for the purpose of examples, but my purpose statement was my book helps uncover the purpose already within them so they can stop living on autopilot and start creating a life. And then here, and eventually a book is what AI told me is not helping me, rooted in meaning, alignment, and impact. So now I know I need to kind of rethink what my purpose statement might look like as a result of the feedback that's kind of coming back. So then the last piece of this is the unanswered question. So when I took, again, this very long transcript, it was a 45-minute interview. When I put that in there, it came back with the biggest question your paragraph raises is, what does the breaking point actually look like for your reader, and how does your book pull it out of them? You correctly identify your audience as someone who's hit a wall and knows that they need to change. However, you haven't yet defined the catalyst. Are they successful corporate leaders experiencing a midlife identity crisis? Are they creatives paralyzed by fear of visibility? To make your book idea unshakable, you need to define the specific flavor of that breaking point and hint at it in your unique framework, moving them out of autopilot to author. I told you at the start of this was going to be long-winded trying to read through kind of what AI came back with. But this is the point, because as I kind of started with even saying, this is how AI is supporting our writing, but it's not replacing our voice. The intention here is to very clearly take a prompt like this one, bring in content that we've already said, and have AI just analyze it. Because I think, especially for thought leaders. So if you are out there being a thought leader in any capacity, you might not self-identify as a thought leader. You might not like that term, but if you are out somewhere and you are sharing your thoughts, you are sharing them with small groups of people, large groups of people. You're sharing them internally with a team, externally, internally with a family member, wherever you might be sharing thoughts that are tied and connected to your book. That is really the key here because they're still your thoughts. So AI did not add anything new to what I said because I very clearly said, do not rewrite this. I just want you to point out what's strong, what's unclear, and what haven't I addressed yet. And as you can hear and see from the response that came back, It gave me very clear, actionable steps I can take. It is not doing the work for me, although I could take my purpose statement, I could throw it in on the end of this prompt and say, okay, here's what my purpose statement was based on the feedback that came from this. What direction do you think I might I want to head in for this? And maybe I can do that right now while we are live in real time if my computer will cooperate. So my purpose statement, all right, and I'm just going to go right back to Gemini. I'm going to go right back to the chat I had. So I'm going to say, if this was my original purpose statement, how can I improve it based on what you just illuminated? And you can, come up with your kind of own version of this. And so it says, to improve your purpose statement, you need to tighten the relationship between the life transformation and the book creation. And then it gives me 3 options. It's basically saying, here's option 1 for the aspiring author focus. Here's option 2 if it's life first, book second. And here's option 3 if it's an identity shift focus. And there's 3 different kind of directions I could go in. So if I'm thinking, you know what, I'm actually going to go with option 3, I'm going to lean more into the identity shift. The new purpose statement that it's suggesting is, my book helps professionals at a career or a personal breaking point uncover their purpose already within them so they can transition from living on autopilot to authoring a life and a book rooted in alignment and impact. So that basically took the information that it came back and spit back out. Do I like how that's worded exactly? No. But I would take pieces and parts of all 3 options it gave me and kind of come together with something that feels good and strong. So remember, we're talking about AI, the use of AI, the use of it in a way with integrity. We are not just kind of saying, you certainly never want to go to AI and say, write me a book on how to write a book, because it's just going to spit back some generic blah that is pulling from all over the internet. And remember, AI is predictive, so it's predicting what the next word is going to be. And so that would absolutely not be a good reflection of you, a good reflection of your brand, because it's not going to have any piece of you to it. It's not going to have any spark that makes you you and unique. And therefore, when we throw in a transcript or some kind of content that we've written, this is where we can fast track it. The voice memo app on an Apple phone, for example, if you don't have something to start with, pull it open and just ramble. Just say all the things. That's another beautiful thing about AI, is it doesn't have to make sense. It can be this long-winded rambling paragraph and it still works because it can parse out that data differently than maybe a person. Like it might take a little more digging and uncovering to get like a human to understand what you're trying to say. Open up the voice memo, and then in the voice memo, it'll say copy transcript. You can pull that transcript directly out and you can paste it right into this prompt. So you don't have to have content to start with, is my point here. Although if you are working on a nonfiction book, and you are kind of considering yourself a thought leader, you're a speaker, you're a consultant, you're training, you're facilitating, you're doing all the things, you likely have some kind of content to start with. So that is tip number 3. So again, we're talking about how AI is supporting our process without replacing our voice, because that is the last thing we want to do as authors and thought leaders, is have AI replace our voice. So again, this is all leading up to a workshop that is Write Your Purpose with AI, and we're going to be doing that on June 17th. The link for that workshop is in the comments below, and it should also be in the description below. And we will be back on Thursday this week, if I am not mistaken, for our fourth session, which will be the AI prompt I give to get people unstuck, because that is a whole other can of worms. Is how do we get unstuck from this process? I think AI is a beautiful and brilliant tool to help us get through these roadblocks and unstuck. And it's supportive. It's an addition to, it is certainly not in replacement of you, your voice, and your content. Thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. Send me an email, send a carrier pigeon, whatever it takes. I will happily take a look at it and provide some feedback. And I will see you again on Thursday.